Lady Cook Cyberline. I am a game producer on World of Warcraft Classic.
And hey, everybody, I'm Clay Stone. I'm the Associate Production Director of WoW Classic. Excited to be here and talk about Cataclysm Classic with you.
So what was your biggest takeaway from the previous patch or even Wrath of the Lich King that you've learned so far in Cataclysm Classic?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, we are beyond thrilled with the reaction to Cataclysm Classic and players who jumped in there. I would say one of our biggest takeaways was how many different people are coming to Classic with so many different interests and being able to provide experiences for all of them. We look at 2023, which was an incredible year for WoW Classic. We got to bring hardcore to players, which originally started as a community-driven initiative. We got to bring Season of Discovery and do some wild things within the classic vanilla space, and it's still going. And then we got to close out Wrath of the Lich King with the release of Icecrown Citadel at the end of 2023, and Ruby Sanctum, and then the final events of Nobragon and Zalzane's Fall in early 2024. And just allowing a way for players to continue the journey of these characters and return to Azeroth in a newly reshaped Azeroth with hundreds of new quests in completely redone zones is awesome. And then just seeing players' willingness and desire to want to continue the progression of these characters has just been fantastic to see. As far as learnings or takeaways from Wrath of the Lich King, I think one of the big ones for us was we love finding ways to give players who maybe didn't start right away at the beginning of an expansion a way to catch up, or even players who want to roll an alt and level up an alt and get it geared to be able to catch up with the rest of their friends. The introduction of Titan Rune dungeons for us was a fantastic success. We love the response to it. Getting to create additional difficulty options for our dungeons for players who want to take on the challenge, for deterministic gear rewards to be able to catch up was great. That was something that we tested with Alpha Protocol in the first patch of Wrath, and then Beta, and then Gamma with each subsequent patch of Wrath. And we've already signaled that this is something that we want to continue with Cataclysm. Similar to Wrath, that didn't start until the first patch of Wrath, and it won't start until further down the line for Cataclysm. However, it is that we bring it back. We won't call them Titan Rune dungeons. It's a little bit too on the nose for Wrath, so probably going to be themed to be something different. But that is certainly something along the lines of what we were thinking. And a big takeaway for us is finding more avenues for either more challenging content or ways for players who jump in a little bit later to catch up or run alts from a gear perspective.
One of the big takeaways I had from Wrath was that there is a place in Classic for quality of life improvements in the game that may not be exactly what we originally had, but really just enhance the player experience. Stuff like we added the collections UI at the very end of Wrath, and everybody really liked that. It really cleared up space in your bags. It made it really easy to find where your mounts were, where your pets were. And that was something that we didn't originally have in there. And we were, kind of, do we want to add this since it's different and it's not the original experience? But it's something that made life easier and people seem to really like it. So that's kind of made a space for us in Cataclysm to start looking at Cataclysm more and go, hey, what are cool quality of life things that we could add? Like bringing transmog in right away and updating transmog so that it uses the collections UI. So you no longer have to find bank space for all of your stuff and drag it over to the transmogrifier. Instead, you can just be able to use the collections UI to kind of organize things a bit better. And so being able to find other opportunities where it may not be exactly how it originally worked, but it just makes things a little bit easier for players.
Is it hard to find that balance? Because, between like classic and retail, like you want to add things in that make things more convenient or easier or even graphically look nicer, but I feel like can get very muddy very quickly. You're like, wait, can't add that, that's too modern, or we need to add this because players want it, but it is modern. Like, what's the balance between the feedback of people who want the true classic experience and people who want maybe some retail amenities in the classic experience?
Honestly, just a lot of listening, a lot of gathering feedback. And also a lot of looking at if there are things that we really want to bring into Classic, how can we make them look and feel Classic? What are the updates we need to do to the collections UI to make it feel like it fits in the world properly? Stuff like with transmog, what things do we allow to transmog that are going to feel organic to the world? And we were able to add a couple other hairstyles to players that were originally on NPCs. Again, it was things that already felt like they fit in the world, but we could make them accessible to players.
being even more hyper focused, what did your team take away from Season of Discovery, and what will you do with that information moving forward?
It's a great question. For Cataclysm and Season of Discovery, it's been interesting. I would actually say that the reverse is true. Season of Discovery has taken a lot of inspiration, not obviously from Classic era and as it originally existed, but when we were thinking about what we could bring into Season of Discovery, we did look a little bit further ahead to things like Burning Crusade or Wrath or Cataclysm, and in Cataclysm's case, actually pull back some of those class abilities and talents to Season of Discovery. Maybe not exactly as players remember them in something like Cataclysm with some slight changes, but allowed us to really take some wild swings and experiment with our classes in the seasonal space of Season of Discovery. So I wouldn't say that there's been too much taken from Season of Discovery specifically that's made its way over to Cataclysm, but certainly the reverse is true. As for the future of something like that, it has been a phenomenal ride in Season of Discovery. It's still going. We've still got more phases to come, and the player response to it has been incredible. And it's really shown us that there is a desire for more experiences in that classic space with some changes, and so we're excited to see where we go from there. But for now, we're excited for players to continue playing Season of Discovery, and we're excited for them to rediscover the wonder of Cataclysm.
What do you think is the biggest misconception from like a gamer looking outside at your team and Cataclysm in general? Like, we'll start with you, Clayton, and go with you, Lenny.
So it's been an incredible journey for us developing Cataclysm. First, starting with the announcement. Obviously, we were developing it before the announcement, but starting with the announcement at BlizzCon, and then proceeding through beta into pre-patch, and now almost on the eve of full launch, we have gained the perception through discussion with the community that perhaps unfairly, Cataclysm has kind of been shaded by the length of that final patch of the Dragon Soul patch, which lasted almost, 10 plus months, which was a long time to be spending on the spine of Deathwing. And one of our goals with Cataclysm Classic has been to speed up the rate at which the content is being available to players. I think that we want to do that anyways. Our contemporary players have certainly shown us that they can master the content exceptionally quickly, and they're excited for the next thing. So it's led to us having a shared desire to be able to deliver them content at a speedier pace. But what's been so cool is just seeing players, starting with our pre-patch, rediscovering how awesome the creative hard work that went into developing this expansion is, and really being able to shine a light on it, especially things like the level 1 through 60 experience, and just these incredible zones that have been totally redone with hundreds of new quests, and seeing people, both players who are brand new to World of Warcraft and jumping the first time, and then especially to players who haven't played Cataclysm for 14 years, kind of rediscover and see how well their memory of it stands up, particularly as we begin this Cataclysm journey with them. It's been awesome to be part of the dev team and just get to have that discussion as we've gotten closer and closer and been through pre-patch now.
Yeah, it was a really neat surprise. Like, after we announced at BlizzCon, the sheer amount of players that we've had reach out and talk to us about how maybe they have not necessarily played like the first 3 expansions. A lot of people started during Cataclysm, and the sheer amount of people that have reached out with excitement around, hey, this was my first WoW experience, and I get to do that nostalgia again. I'm actually really, really excited to dig into that and get to experience it again. It was really, really cool to hear.
So what can you tell us that's next for the Classic brand or the series? Or what does the future hold for Classic and Season of Discovery?
We are so fortunate to be in a spot where every step of the way with this Classic journey has been a journey that's been co-written with our players. It kicked off with the announcement prior to 2019, then the launch in 2019, because that's what players wanted. They wanted to experience Classic as they remembered it. That, of course, led to Burning Crusade, that led to Season of Mastery, or just before Burning Crusade, that led to Season of Mastery, Burning Crusade, Wrath Classic, and then Hardcore, Season of Discovery, and now Cataclysm. And we want to continue with players wherever they want to go next. We're excited to hear where that is as we start on this this Cataclysm journey with them. It's been fantastic to be able to provide these different experiences that really appeal to different types of players across Classic, and really just have this awesome collection of games that are all available under the one subscription price for players to jump in and be able to choose from, and kind of hop between even like the zeitgeist of where it currently stands. So as far as, you know, where we go from here, right now we're super excited and very focused on Cataclysm, and very much focused on trying to deliver a great expansion and great future patches for it. But we're excited to see where we go as well, and have this conversation continue to evolve with our player base.
Yeah, we have announced our upcoming cadence as far as when our patches are planned to come up for Cataclysm. So we're looking at the Zandalari dungeons in July, looking at Firelands in October, and then in January, looking at Dragon Soul. With that being said, we also want to make sure all the players really get the chance to just enjoy the content. I know Firelands and Molten Front were super iconic for people. So we want to make sure we're giving people enough time that they truly get the experiences they want. So we're not necessarily set in stone that that's when those have to go out. If players are having fun, maybe we can extend it a bit. It's, as Clay said, it's really cool just to be working with the player base to kind of deliver what they want to do and kind of have this collaborative experience.
Lenny, with you, what do you think is the biggest misconception about your job that you do on WoW from an outsider looking in?
Oh, it's kind of funny. With my job being producer, a lot of people don't actually know what that is. So there's a lot of questions about, I know what designers and engineers and artists do, but what do you do? And so for me, it's always fun to get to talk to people and just talk about, I get the chance to help provide the team with whatever they need to get their job done, whether it is documentation, communicating with other groups to get support, putting them in contact with people, helping guide them along the schedule, building tasks. There's just, I love being in this really supportive role, but also because Classic team is really small, we also are just all involved in the creative process. So I get to be part of that as well, with brainstorming sessions and bouncing ideas off of each other. So my job is kind of a little bit of everything in kind of the most fun way.
Clayton, same question. What's the biggest misconception about your job working on WoW Cataclysm Classic?
Just to, you know, go back to Lenny's job, she really is this air traffic controller, just directing traffic in all ways, making sure the right people are focused on the right thing at the right time, and the whole team is staying on track, and she's fantastic at it. So thank you, Lenny. Biggest misconception about my job as associate production director. You know, it's probably, for better or worse, it's probably very similar to how Lenny answered. You know, when I think of my job, I get to support the team from so many different areas, from a strategic perspective to making sure we're proceeding with the right things that we think our players are going to love, and we're producing phenomenal games that are going to resonate with our community. I get to help make sure the team has access to the resources that it needs when it needs them. Make sure that we're hiring the right people at the right times, so that Lenny can make sure that they're focused on the right things. I guess misconception is probably similar to Lenny's. It's that folks don't necessarily know what it is that a production director does. But I love my job, and I get to work on the best team in the world.